Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, welcome to day 2 of our eTalk speaker series. This morning, we have the pleasure to have Maria and Mariana Delgado Gambini, and they are owners of Chantilly Patisserie Bakehouse in Bronxville. And yesterday and today, we have the pleasure to have different entrepreneurs, various industry backgrounds, very diverse. And today we are welcoming a wonderful sister duo that is part of our community. It's Bronxville, but we are really excited to learn today about their journey and how they got started, because they have an interesting background. So let's show some, attention. Talking into this microphone is really. Let's pay attention.
Oh, I can do that too.
I just don't like hearing myself like this, but my apologies. So I just want everybody to give a round of applause to Mariana and let's hear their journey. Thank you.
You do the same thing. Okay, great. Let's hold it down here. Is it still on though? Okay.
Yes.
It's on, yes. I have this one. Hi, everybody. Professor Noelle Delgado. And I want to share first that about 25 or so years ago, I had no idea that Mariana and Maria would own one of the most famous bakeries in Westchester County. I went to high school with both of them, so it's been a long journey, but here we are today, and we're going to talk about the success of their business. So before I get started with all of these questions, and you'll have the opportunity to ask questions as well, I'm going to let them just give a brief introduction about themselves.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mariana, and I am a co-owner of Chantilly Patisserie Bakehouse in Bronxville. We have been there for 15 years and 5 months, and it all started, I guess, with my culinary background when I went to high school. Our Vo-Tech school, I chose culinary to be my profession, and I've stuck with it all this time. And life went along, and we had the opportunity to open up the bakehouse, and my sister joined me 15 years ago.
In my background, I went to school for architecture and fine arts. We decided to open up a bake shop. We went to Europe. We loved the idea of having this. Can you guys hear me? Can I put this down or? Okay. We love the idea of having a place where you can just have that feel of just going to a space where you can relax and come in, like the European lifestyle of just like enjoying life. And with her background of culinary, we took this opportunity to open up a business. Mind you, no business background whatsoever, so that was very fun for us to kind of just go along with the flow, and a lot of bumps on the road as well, but here we are, like she said, 15 years, 5 months later, and we really love what we do, and yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So my first question was, what was the inspiration behind the bakehouse? So would you say it was traveling?
It was. I feel like, though, we always grew up around food with our parents. The kitchen is a very essential part of our family, our culture, our lifestyle. Again, with her going to school for culinary, but really taking this opportunity to go. We went to, so we did a trip with our mom. It was the 3 of us. We went to London, Paris, Rome, and Venice, all in this mini European, like, awesome trip. You know, we had the opportunity to do that. And we were like, oh, why can't we find stuff like this in Westchester and Bronxville, in the area where we're from? And it just opened up. We were lucky that this place opened. You know, it wasn't even a bakery at the time when we opened.
It was a TV repair shop. This gentleman had been there for 60 years, and he was just going out of business, and it just so happened that the broker who was in charge of this location was our family friend. Our parents got together, and they were like, this is it. Do you want the opportunity? Here it is. I mean, I was 23 years old. You were
I was
25,
25,
something
yeah.
like that. And it just happened. So essentially, we built our bakehouse from scratch. You know, it sounds
There
kind of
was
cheesy.
nothing there. There was no gas lines. There
Nothing.
wasn't anything. The only thing I think we left was part of the ceiling that was falling out, but we repaired it. I went up there and did some moldings of, molds of the molding that was there.
And I know it sounds like, it's a business, obviously you have to do repairs, but we were really young when we did this and had not a clue what we were getting ourselves into. So we took a big, big gamble on, our parents took a big gamble on us, and
Yes,
we
you
just
quit your
went with it.
job.
Yep.
You were working at the Westchester Country Club, and I was working at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and which was a job that I really, really loved, but we joined forces, and here we
So who convinced who?
I think they did. I remember the moment. I really do remember it. I was working at the Med, and we had lunch at the Med. And my parents said, you guys were just like, you have to join. And I'm all like, shit, I do. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. You go from one thinking that you're going to change the world through art, and then I'm like, I don't know anything about, I loved food. I loved cooking myself, but I never baked. And then, and then I did. I also took a gamble, and I'm like, okay, fine, let's do this. And she's like, okay, here you go, get to work. And I just learned from scratch. She taught me a lot of what she knew, but I also did a ton of research. I always say too, like YouTube University, because you just,
Sure.
when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And then I really poured myself into learning, into like, mirroring like how she worked. She's very hard ass, like, but in a good way. It was good.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot.
All right. Take us back to your culture. You said earlier, your background.
We're from Argentina, so we
Originally.
Yes, and we came here in '93. I was 11 years old. You were 9.
9. So our parents migrated to America, and 3 little kids with our brother too. They wanted a better future for us, and they inspired us to work really, really hard, and they're one of the reasons why we have pushed so hard to make our bakehouse successful. And I don't know if you guys know, but we're only open 3 days to the public now. We used
After
to be
COVID.
we used to be open 6 days. Which, if you think about it, normal bakeries or just your typical bakery are open 7 days a week from morning to afternoon. But we have come up with this system that really works for us. So, our background is, we came from Argentina. We watched our parents work really hard from nothing, and that's really one of the reasons that pushes me a lot is, making them proud, making myself proud, and just pushing towards, our goal every single day.
And you started the business, like you said, at 23 and 25. So my next question is, do you feel that your age and also being a woman impacted your success?
Yes.
Negative, positive? What would you say?
I think at the beginning, a
I
lot
think
of
it still
people,
does, though.
it does, yes, of course it does as a woman. Unfortunately having to say that, but at the beginning, people saw us and they were like, oh, these kids are here to play. They're opening up a business in Bronxville, but they're just here decorating cupcakes. And I think
we've
when
been
people
called names too, and it's
Correct.
funny, from other businesses in the building, their walls are very thin.
Oh,
So there were a lot of nice, colorful words that we were called.
Wow.
And a lot of the things too is, you go to a bakery, you go to a restaurant, you expect the chef to be male. He. Oh, is he from Paris? Is he? But then we continue. That has never changed. The age thing also, because we were young, whether you are hiring same age,
Right.
older,
Right.
or younger, because you look young, I feel. I'm going to be 43 in August, but it's still, people didn't want to take direction from us,
Sure.
There's always been this sort of like trying to let people see that we're here. We're not just sitting on our butts doing nothing. We're really in it, and
and now that we're older, and we're moms, we're just housewives who just want to bake. So it's just like
You're always hearing the stereotype.
Something.
Yeah.
It's something.
But
which
don't get me wrong, we have our community who supports us and who understands and who appreciates the kind of work that we do on a daily basis. Because we are open 3 days a week, but producing 6 days, production.
Right.
So in a sense, being a young person who opened up a business in a town like Bronxville, as well as a woman, when they realize the chef is this tiny person that's just like behind the counter making coffees or making croissants or washing dishes, whatever we had to do, we did. And it was a shock to our community too. But then, everybody realized, 15 years later, we are here to kick some butt and to stay.
Yeah.
And I think also during COVID, too, going back to that, we took a lot into social media. So
Right.
we were also the face of the company a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we started doing a lot of live, going
Yes.
live, especially with her. I just don't like the way I sound when I'm like, but I think people got to see who we were. And I think people also realized that we are doing all this stuff ourselves, so I think we did see a little bit of a change, but we still, when there's a new person and they don't know, we still get it.
Right.
And you just go with the flow.
So you mentioned that you're open 3 days a week. My question was discuss your store hours and how you decided to operate certain days to balance your family life.
Sure. When we opened in 2011, we were opened Tuesday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then we dwindled down to 5 days. And then COVID came and we decided to sit down, brainstorm, and see what really worked for us. And that was doing to-go orders, doing deliveries, opening up through our door, not letting anybody in. And then we were open to the public 3 days a week. And that just stuck with us. And whatever production we were doing on those 6 days, Tuesday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., we are doing it now and more in 3 little days, being open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. That doesn't mean that we don't produce or we just go to work, we open the door at 7 a.m. and all the pastries magically appear. No, Maria and I have been at work since 1 o'clock this morning. We bake everything. We are literally the bakers. We are, again, very hands-on. And that just worked and it stuck with us. We have theme days, which we have Disney Day, we have Donut Day, Princess Day, Star Wars Day on May 4th, which falls on a Sunday this year, so I'm super excited about that. And people line up to an hour and a half to 2 hours outside our door, even on January when we have Croissant Day. And it's incredible how the word gets out and how people will make our bakehouse a destination for their weekend or for their special occasion cakes, which Maria is in charge of our program. So after COVID, we decided that we have to take a look back and see that our life does not revolve around our business. More now our family and our girls.
Well, I think also it started to, COVID did hit and then we did do the 3 days.
Yes,
but
it helped.
when my niece, when her daughter was born, she's going to be 8 in June, I think that's also when we took away Sundays. We weren't open Sundays anymore. We're like, people enjoy their Sundays with their families, right? They come in and they have their coffees and we have to be here at 2 in the morning. You gave birth, you were back at work in like
6 days.
6 days, so it's like let's do that to ourselves. I think we can do it, and we saw like the amount of stuff that we were doing, the foot flow that we were having. We're like, yes, we can do it.
And that's a great point too, because for our students here especially, like, you can't expect to go into business and only work 3 days a week.
Right.
When you first opened, you were working 24/7.
But we were working, so we were open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. But that doesn't mean we were just, again, like she said, open the door, we're there. No, you're going into work at 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning. To bake.
Right.
And then you have to set it up. And then you have the people. And then you close at 6, the door, but then you have to clean up. So that was just, there's been a lot of 15, 16-hour days where you're just like you're
Yeah.
exhausted,
Yeah.
and you're by yourself, like socks that can control like the pain in your, like it's just a lot.
So we have to like
But-
reevaluate how we were working, not to burn ourselves out too, because we are not robots, And once
We
kids,
tried to be.
yeah, sometimes we are. Kids came into the picture. We each have a girl, and then you realize I wake up and my daughter's gonna be 8 years old. It's like no, my life is like, knock on wood, not halfway done, but I need to also make time to be a great business owner, but a healthy mom as well. So
Yes.
you have to kind of balance,
Yes.
and that's when we
To be
decided
to be
stay-
present.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
present in their lives,
Yeah.
for them to see that, oh wow, mommy can kick butt and be a superwoman, make cupcakes and cakes and croissants.
Right.
And they're so proud. Mine
Yeah,
is just turned 5.
Yeah.
And for a little bit there, I was a single mom too, So it was just, it was hard. But now they come into the shop and they're like,
they own
know,
it.
They own it. They're the bosses now, mini bosses. But if they they expect us to have cakes for them to decorate,
Right,
I want to decorate, I want to make fondant, I want to do this, so it's like, and it was hard. It was hard too when we did have COVID and they weren't in school and we had to have them there.
Right.
And my Fiona was a COVID baby. She was born 2 weeks before everything shut down. So she was always at the shop with us. So can you imagine having a baby
Yeah,
strapped
baby
on and
babies.
you're in the ovens and God forbid you burn yourself. It's
Right.
a lot of things I went through, but you have to plan it.
Yeah.
You have to sit down. You have to evaluate. There's a lot of fights, sure. There's a lot of good times, more than not. But
Yes.
it was.
All right. Before I take a pause, and I do want to turn over, to the audience to ask some questions, but you brought some pastries with you today that are in those brown boxes just behind you, so make sure everybody gets one. What's the decision-making process behind the products? Who comes up with the menu?
We don't sometimes. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we always do.
Staples that we
Right.
have.
Croissants, because that is the main dough of like Danishes.
That's what
and
we're
the-
known for.
Right.
Right.
So it's your plain croissant, which a lot of people don't know. It takes 3 to 4 days to make, which is, and then from there you have the almond croissant, you have the chocolate croissant, you have a pistachio croissant, like all the croissants that are different flavors. So then you go from there and be like, okay, people really love muffins, so sometimes we have just one muffin, a scone. So you have maybe 5 things are always there. They change flavors. Sweet Danishes, like today, the one I brought for you,
My favorite.
yesterday I was like, oh, we could do that. Let's do that. Sometimes I go into the fridge and be like, okay, we have a couple of extra tomatoes. We'll do that as a savory Danish. So sometimes it changes. We
Right.
don't have a set menu except
Right.
for a few things. People have always come in and be like, do you have a menu? We've never had a menu. The only menu we have is online is for the cake flavors. But as far as the pastries that we have, we've never done. And before COVID, that whole menu had changed. It was different. It was more pastries. We had desserts. We had the laminated dough, like, the croissants. And then COVID hit, we didn't know who was going to show up, if people were going to show up to your doors. You make all this food, you spend all this money buying the product, and you're like, shit, are people going to come? So you're like, okay, let's cut out the desserts because nobody's having a party right now.
Right.
Nobody was getting together. And now we just stuck with what we have now.
And then we have our theme days, which we do crazy theme days, and we
Yeah.
try to.
I'm going to ask you that question too. Like, is that part of the marketing strategy? Because you said earlier you have these theme days and people are lined up. So just to let everybody know, on Saturday, it was Saturday, right?
Yes,
it
it
was.
was.
Saturday was their Mardi Gras day, and I did plan my weekend around it. They were posting prior to, so I knew it was going to be on the menu, and I made sure, because I knew they were going to sell out. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, I said to my family, I'm going to Chantilly, I'll be back. And I waited outside of the shop because there was a line out the door. So is that part of the marketing strategy, having these special days?
I think it just happened.
happened.
It just happened with
Again, COVID.
yeah.
You
no,
know?
no, it happened before. We have these things called cruffins, and there's a croissant shaped like a muffin that we stuff it with different things. And the first time we had Cruffin Day, we were like, nobody's gonna show up. We'll just make 60 of them, 5, 6 different
We
flavors.
sold out in an hour. We closed the door in an hour.
We closed the door in an hour, and we're like, oh my god, let's do this again. So we had Cruffin Day 2.0, and then people started lining up.
But
And
that
then-
was the only time that we actually said, let's have this special kind of. But it was COVID.
correct, yes.
Because
with
nobody
Disney
was
Day.
with Disney Day. So we did
Yeah.
a Disney Day. We're like,
Are you a fan of Disney?
I remember
Yeah.
that too. Yes.
Yeah, we're like, we hope we don't get sued by Disney, you know? But we're like, okay, there's a lot of Disney people that go to Disney, like you,
yeah,
right?
in our area too.
But nobody was traveling. So we're like, okay, let's do this. Let's bring the treats from the park to our shop.
And we set up
Yes.
this cart outside
Yes.
with balloons everywhere, and there was so many families that showed up, and kids in costumes.
It was a freaking, like, it was just like so much.
Again, the line was on the whole, like the sidewalk.
I mean,
like,
but it took
It-
like around the block, and we're like, okay, this works. So the next one that we did, I believe it was on your birthday. It was
a
a crafting day.
disaster.
It was a disaster.
which one?
Cruffin Day.
Cruffin
It fell on
Day.
my birthday, so Maria's like, here's a mojito.
I made her
you
a
know,
drink
let's
in
get
the
everything
morning, like
done.
a legit cocktail. I'm like in a coconut and
Enjoy
everything.
your
It was
birthday.
just like, it was awful. The anxiety that we had, it was absolutely awful.
Hundreds of people showed up.
But
and
nobody was like,
in
everybody
line.
was just, it was just like a crowd in front of you, and you just standing there and you're like, what are we going to do?
And this was us selling outside our door because COVID, we couldn't have anybody inside. We weren't allowed to have anybody inside.
So you have this door this big, 100 people outside, people getting irritated with us, irritated with them. We were getting like, just,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it happened. We
No
got through
mojito.
it. Yeah,
Right,
no.
right, no
she never drank it.
And then it just kept happening. And then we did Star Wars Day, and then we did Donut Day, Macaron Day. and
Pie Day is coming up.
Pie Day
yeah.
is coming
But
up.
we
on
did Harry
3/14.
Potter Day, which is one of our
Right.
favorite ones, and we transformed the whole shop now that people come in into like it looks like you know, a little
Harry Potter theme.
something, yeah. And then
And as far as marketing, we have a zero budget for marketing.
Yes.
We do all of our social media and any posters, use Canva, whatever it is. We really don't have a budget for marketing, but we do post, you know, a few weeks in advance before our theme days. We put a poster on our wall. It's word of mouth. Our stickers that go in our boxes. You know, we've been doing like, don't forget this day's coming up, and it works. And that's
did
it.
you get it on Saturday? Well, maybe because that was on register on Saturday. So Saturday was Mardi Gras. We had a little calendar this big giving to people. This day is Pie Day. This day is Macaron Day. This day is whatever. So in the next 3 special days that we have coming on, that was our that's our marketing. You know, that's our
Yeah.
word of mouth.
And it works. I mean, it
Somehow
works.
it works.
If it works,
Yeah,
it works.
yes.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it works for everybody, you know, but that's what we have to work with, and you get kind of like scrappy and you do it, you know.
No, that's great. That's great. We want to hear the real story, so that's good. Does anybody have any questions? Please ask your questions. Yes.
So, would you ever trust hiring another baker outside of your?
We have.
Okay.
So
But yes, but we have. Question is, let's say they don't show up. They don't call you that they didn't show up, and here you come at 7 in the morning to open up, or 6 in the morning to open up, and you don't have any of your products. It's very hard to trust.
I take it that's happened.
It has
No, because we've never
not
hired
since.
anybody
Okay.
to
Yes.
open up
Oh,
at
not
night.
since. It did happen.
Yeah.
No. It hasn't happened in that sense, but
Oh.
we used to have a person that would come in earlier, but we would still come in maybe 1 in the morning. We'd come in at 3, just
Okay.
to make sure it was getting, stuff was getting done. But again, when you're in it
Right.
and you know the product and you put all your heart and love into it, nobody else can do it the same way that
Of
you
course.
can do
And
it.
I think that's another reason why it's worked that we can only be open 3 days a week, because Maria and I are so hands-on. Again, we're there 6 days, but producing 3.
And I don't know if that's. Again, I don't know if that's how people do it. People trust a lot. You have all these companies out. You have a lot of people that open up 1 restaurant, 2 restaurants, 3. You know, and they're like become this restaurant group, and they have like 17. But how do you trust people? You know, like we're there. We're making sure that there's crumbs on the floor. Sweep it. You know, like we're doing that too. So it's very difficult.
It's true, because we had a conversation. I heard actually Lindy, our associate director, talking to some of our interns, that, you know, being an entrepreneur is 24/7. Yes, there's some flexibility, and I think that in time you can make certain hours. And it sounds like what you've done is you've changed your business model.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you need. That's the pivoting that you have to do. Otherwise, I think just hearing your story, that you were there at 1 a.m., I'm like, oh my gosh, how do they not burn out? Right? And so that's the thing that
We
we're
wear,
talking about.
like right now I'm wearing makeup, that's why maybe I don't have
But I think that's also why I was feeling very burnt out, especially after having, you know, a baby. It was just like, what am I doing? Is this what I wanted to? This is what I chose to do since I was, you know, 13 years old, you know, and then we started high school. And that's why we chose to go through the 3-day model. And a lot of people don't agree with it. They're like, this is a joke. Who opens 3 days a week and stays in business in Bronxville?
The other day, a gentleman, an older gentleman, was like, so what do you do the other days that you're not working?
Oh gosh.
You know, like, mind your own business, one. But, no, we're here. We're producing. We're downstairs, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, people think it's just
confidence, doesn't it?
Yep.
Because I feel like what you're, it's the quality. Your product is that great that you've been able, firstly, to prove yourself, and then you change your business model. There's another bakery, but they're completely different from you. But they're in Eastchester. They're only open. I think they just sell pies.
Galloway.
Galloway's.
Yeah, I know.
We're
Shannon
friends.
is my close friend. Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, yeah, like, oh, we want a pie. You know, like what? But then I'll go, you know, but it's the quality. And I think once you've established that, but it's not something you start, that if you don't start like that, right? So I just want to share that, because I think a lot of our students, they have to understand that you do have to change your business model, but you may have to start out really like rolling up your sleeves and doing this every day.
Or
It's
you're
photo
really
sync, you know, sometimes like it's just
it could happen though, like, or you're really good that, you know, I don't know if you guys are Instagram nowadays or not, but like a lot of bakehouses are opening up just Fridays and Saturdays, and you're really, really good, and people will come to you if you prove yourself, honestly.
Exactly. Thank you.
And we had another question.
Oh, it was a question, but also like just wondering like a little bit more of your feedback questions, because I know sometimes we'll have like students that they have this great idea, this conceptual idea, but they think about the expansion before, you know, creating something that's more in-house and internal. I wanted you to just be able to give students a little bit of feedback in your idea about the fact that you guys are staying more internal than trying to create an expanding business, and how they've been able to benefit you.
We have tried to expand.
We have tried to
a few
expand
times.
to at the beginning when we first opened to, let's say, country clubs or other bakehouses
We
that
used to
you know.
deliver to a place in Manhattan as well. Again, we're the delivery drivers. So we used to deliver to them. The restaurant, an old restaurant, it opened. We used to deliver to them as well. The problem is there, we took our stuff out of it. So what happened was, with this one particular place, they're no longer in Manhattan. They closed years ago. I think they were there for maybe 4 or 5 years. And if, you know, which is too bad. I think her concept was really nice. She wanted to open up like a Dean and DeLuca sort of like place. She didn't want us. She comes to us because she had heard about us from a person that would come to our shop. And she told us, we want you to be exclusive with us. We're going to open this awesome place. We were like, yes, let's do this. It's our chance to have our name in Manhattan, which I think also if we were like in a place like, you know, the city, I think we're also be maybe a little bit more like out there. But let's, you know, let me ask you, you put your name out there, you bring them this, right? In a week and a half goes by, she doesn't order anymore, and we're like, what's going on? Then she does. You come in, and it's a fresh fruit tart. So it's a tart, pastry cream, berries on top, right?
With
And you
fresh-
build it with
fresh
fresh
mold.
everything, with fresh mold in it.
Oh.
So she's selling this, and not only that, now she has another bakery from Manhattan, another well-established, well-known bakery next to our stuff. So you're like, wait a minute, you want us to be exclusive with you, but now you're selling our stuff, but this looks like, you know, like, so you're like, okay, no, we have to pull it. The same thing happened with other, you know, with other stuff, and it's also hard to compete with factories also that can sell the product for a lot cheaper. And we have tried so many different places, even from like Legoland to like other bakeries or coffee shops and stuff, and it's hard, and we understand that it's easier to pay 2 cents for a croissant than it is to pay like $1 for a croissant, you know, and it is what it is with their business motto and like what they can do. But we have tried. So what do you do there? You're not expanding? Then let's work.
We focused. We stopped that. We made the decision to say we're not gonna go to different companies. If anybody wants, they can come to us. Let's focus on our shop, on our tiny little shop that we have here, and we continue to be hands-on. We continue to make sure the quality. I know it's just a cookie, you know, to a lot of people, but we want to make sure that that cookie
It's the
is
best cookie.
the best cookie in your mouth. And that's what happens, you know, for us being so hands-on, we haven't been able to expand, but that has been our choice, not to open up a second location. Again, going back to now, because we have a family, we unfortunately, we have chosen at this point in our lives and to also focus in our shop, but also to focus a lot in our mental health and in making sure we're the best moms to our girls as well, and to ourselves.
You have a question?
Yeah. So I gotta use this?
Yeah,
Alright.
I know, sorry.
A little bit more of a basic question, but being so young when you opened up the business, how was it just like evaluating it, like something as simple as like, am I making a profit? Because you had no experience before that.
We just went with it, and you know, we were able to pay for rent, and we were able to pay for employees, and it took a while for us to get even make.
I was gonna ask, yeah, how long did it take
But
for you
you
to
know,
actually say you paid yourself? How many years?
5 years.
Yeah.
3
so
to
you're
5
working
years.
for free for a while, you know, and it's hard, and it's not like, what am I doing? You cry and you like just want to pull your hair out, and you know, I grew a lot more white hairs, but it's hard, and it's as far as there were a couple of things that we did not, and I think you'll agree with me too. A couple of things that we did not scale back from, because we didn't have that business background, is you get yourself. Well, no, is our accountant. So we're like, okay, we have no idea how to do taxes, especially for a business or whatever. That is the one thing that we were like, this is the person that we need. He stuck with us since we opened, and we trusted him to. He wasn't cheap. He's not cheap, but it was the one thing that we were like, this is one thing that we have to trust, and that this works for us.
And many conversations that I've had with him is like, I bake for a living, and I don't have a business background, which might have been one of the mistakes at the beginning, you know, not knowing and trying to learn about it. But then you just go for it. You only have one life to live, you know, you only have one. This is our chance. Like, I'm sure now that if we close Chantilly, we have many chances to open up little bakeries, you know, wherever we want, because we learned a lot. But you know, we relied on somebody to help us kind of navigate through that process.
And then one thing that we were very dumb to do when we first opened, like you were just saying, is our packaging.
We spent $50,000 in packaging. Why? Because we wanted to be this like fancy little boutique with custom packaging.
If you remember, and it was the most beautiful packaging, and it was, you know, but
and
again,
satin ribbon with
Your boxes
you know,
were pink.
yes, with our
satin.
name,
Yeah.
and then we had our
Yeah.
different boxes for macaroon boxes that were like so that were beautiful in our bags or whatever, and because we wanted to put our name out there, and we wanted people to be like, hey,
And it's
what
so-
is that bag, you know?
It's so funny now because people know us just by our craft boxes with a stamp on it. So it's like we're spending a fraction of what we did before. So you live and learn, you take chances, and you just can't be scared. I mean, you could be scared shitless. That's
You
totally
still are.
I know.
You're like, oh shit, are people gonna show up today? You know, and you still are. It's just, do you believe yourself? Do you have a great business partner that you can trust? You know, to be there with you. And I don't know if I can't remember if that's one of your questions, but
how do you and your sister collaborate?
I remember this one time,
Not to
and
each
I'm
other.
gonna be honest with you. I threw
A fondant.
I was
figurine.
working on a
Yeah, I
cake,
remember.
maybe
You should
11,
not
12
forget
years
fondant
ago.
coming at your face.
You know, it's a Father's Day cake, somebody ordered it, and I was working on this little father figurine, and I don't know what she said. I threw it at her, I left, it was just
She
a-
quit.
She quit. I quit for 20 minutes and 30 minutes, and then I came back, and so I was like, shit, I still have to finish this cake, somebody, like,
Right.
well, I don't know if you picked them up, and, it's just, it's hard. We've had really one of the
Different big
best
differences.
But yeah, but also one of the
Yeah.
best times.
When we first opened, we lived together, we baked together, we went to work together. Imagine being stuck with someone 24/7.
It's like on a deserted island. You can't go
And
anywhere.
your family, so it's like you get into a fight, you have to get over it quick. And I think that's one of the things that works is like we'll get even like maybe this week we have like disagreements, but get over it, talk about it, and move on. Because we know by now that we both want the same thing, and that's just like making the best pastries that you can find in Westchester, having one of the best bakehouses in Westchester, and without one of us, it just doesn't work. So you get over it. And then
So
our
if-
parents are also involved. So
Question?
imagine having your parents
Question,
too. It's
Another
tough.
question back there?
Yeah.
It was more of a statement, but I love that you guys are able to highlight that. I've always heard, that saying, you can't, mix family with business. And I think both of you are like a great example of being able to say, hey, we have a goal in mind, and that's what drives us, even though
I think you have,
yes.
and I think you have to have the same mentality. I think you have to be somebody, we're a year and 9 months apart. We have always been like this.
And we're
but
complete
also-
opposites.
Yes,
And we're
we are.
complete opposites.
Like, I'm like,
yeah.
more, she's serious, I could be more, like, whatever, but it's not easy, I'm not saying that's gonna work with anybody, or if you have a really close friend, I'm not saying, like, even if she was my friend, I think we would have to be really, like, almost like not soulmate, but like twin flames or something, like that. But you know what I mean? Like you really want to achieve a certain goal, and that you are on the same page, and there's no bullshit. Like you don't leave anything behind, and you're not scared to, like
And
talk
I think we
about
learned
it,
that
but-
from our parents, coming here not knowing English. None of us knew English, so we had to learn that. So that goes back to like we watched our parents hustle. So that doesn't mean we have to hustle nowadays, but it's just like the mentality that we have of just like yes, family comes first. So get over whatever it is, and then we'll move forward.
I'm looking at the time, so I know we don't have a lot of time. Any other
Sorry.
questions? Questions, yes.
Okay, wait, hold on. Because I don't know.
We have about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever thought of expanding?
Yes, we have, but mentally, I don't think we are in a position where we can. We are so busy in the little bake shop that we have right now that I feel like we would lose the quality of the product that we are serving right now.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future, but right now we are focusing on 135 Parkway Road in Bronxville
And farmers market.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
we
only
also
thing
have
actually.
farmers
Yes.
market.
So
Yes,
we do
right.
farmers
On
market.
Saturdays.
Yeah.
May
Between
through November.
Yeah, May through November. So it's a little bit extra that we do, but that's the only thing right now.
And it's right in Bronxville, the
It's
farmers
also in
market.
Bronxville,
Yeah.
which we were like, oh, are we gonna compete with ourselves?
Right.
But we don't,
No,
because
we
we
don't.
make totally different things. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Any other questions? Yes.
You
You
can
get the
sing
mic.
too.
Be able to sing.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So my dad and his brother were also in business together for years and then decided to go their own separate ways, and it worked out for the benefit of both of them. So my question to you is, do you ever consider going your own separate ways and maybe making more profit because of that?
Yes and no, but I don't think no.
She does, like, we balance each other so well that I would not be able, let's just say I want to open up a bakehouse, but people will always want cakes. She's an amazing artist, that's something I can't do. And I am so organized, and she is just a disaster. Like we balance each other. So
thank you.
I'm being honest, like, again, we're complete opposites, but I think that's one of the things that in our recipe has worked so well that I think without each other, it was cheesy, that without each other, I don't think we would profit.
And I think there's another, so our mom was with us when we first opened. I think the dynamic between parents and child or son or daughter is so different. For us, I mean, like, I could be like, curse her out, and 2 seconds later, we could be friends again. I think that sort of balance of parent-child is so much different too. So I think for us, that's why it worked. Our mom is, no longer part. Well, she does come into the bakery, but not as she used to be when.
Not because we kicked her out or anything, but she's just getting older and enjoying life with my dad.
Yes.
Doing things like
and
that.
And I think they see that we're in it.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. We're living there. That's our first home. Our actual house is our second home. So yeah, I think the dynamic of like sisters, siblings is a lot different. You grew up, the same kind, like with that parental guidance, so you have that same culture, that same backgrounds, that you don't have with a parent. Your parent went through a lot more things, different like different things happen when they're younger and stuff. So I think we just got lucky that we can, work together. Yeah. Plus she's, like I said, she's pretty badass and she's pretty hard, and like she said, like she's
Only because I want the best for for everybody.
One more?
I
One
actually
more?
have one more question, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So now, you mentioned the marketing. You do it all.
Yeah.
It sounds like you do. Have you ever considered? Are you embracing AI? Have you just not yet?
No, there's
Not
one of the things that I don't have an interest in right now. I mean, it's something that we're so like, I have so
I
many
think
other
we're very
things.
old school too.
Yeah.
Like
No,
we
I
write our
in
notes.
notepads and,
We
like,
don't.
pencil.
Like we're so like away from like technology too, because you're working with your hands.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
so that's another thing too with this particular business. You kind of lose touch with a little bit of the new technology, right? So for maybe
Something that we're not opposed to.
no, but maybe
Right.
we'll
Maybe
use
not yet.
something. No, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll use like Chat GPT, or you have too, if we can think of like a name for a new croissant, or like or something like that. But that's
But
we
that's a
had
start.
we had a theme
That's a
day,
start.
which was like Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, and Mardi Gras, and I'm like, what are we gonna call it? And I was like, what can you call it? And it's like the trilogy. So that I was like, mind blown, and it's like,
But
okay,
that,
it's not
that's
like
a
that,
start,
but
and even with marketing, like it's something to consider.
yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? We have time for one more question.
One more question?
Okay, great. Hold it up close. Yeah.
What advice would you give other first-gen entrepreneurs?
Take chances. Don't be afraid. Ask for help. Ask for help when you need it. Try not to do everything by yourself. And when you feel like your mental health is like declining, or just step back, reevaluate, and
but get back to it.
yeah, absolutely.
Because
Don't
it's
get back.
very self-reward. Like, I'm a business. I can say like I'm a business owner. I don't have to answer to anybody except for her. But like it's very rewarding.
It is.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's not
It's
easy.
hard. It is not easy at all. But if you want to do it, you do it, and you start doing research. Do your research.
Yeah.
Don't open a business just because you open a business and all of a sudden you're like, okay, what do we do? But do the research and then get to it. But because you learn through a textbook too, or you do the research, that doesn't mean that's how it's gonna go. It's all by doing. I think we're firm believers in like learn by doing.
And surround yourself with people that support you and have great energy, because you know you bounce off each other's good energy. And I mean, a lot of people will stay in your life and a lot of people won't,
And that's okay. Yeah, because you're working for you're working for yourself.
and for your dream.
Yeah.
And I think also be really passionate about what you're doing. And,
Yeah,
and
I love
both
what
of
you
you
do. I mean,
clearly
like,
have passion for
I
it.
watched something the other day and it's like, okay, you work from like what, teens? I mean, we were working since we were like teenagers, right? So you work from teens to what, 65, 60 or whatever. You might as well be doing something that you love. You work for so long, you know? So don't make it be like I'm going to work, I'm going home, eating, sleeping, get up, you know, like really love what you're doing. And it takes balls to do like what, you know, to grow a business, but it's
I would love to
very
see you both
rewarding.
on TV, like the Cake Boss.
We actually
Right?
have been
You have?
interviewed
Oh.
for, we have been
Oh.
interviewed, but we never got it. But we've
Okay,
been
well, don't
interviewed
give
by
up,
like
because
I
that's
think
never
it's because
gonna
we're not enough drama.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're just
all this time was fake drama. Come up with some fake
I
drama.
know, right?
Maybe in the middle
Yeah.
of it, just like
But that's
Roll the fondant again.
Throw the fondant
Yeah.
in
But I
it.
think a lot of these entrepreneurs that go on these ridiculous TVs, I think it's a bigger game plan. It's really to market themselves,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like, oh, I would never. But you know what? When you have a product that you believe in, yeah, maybe you would. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's one way of marketing. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Any other questions? Thank you both so
You're very
much
welcome.
for being here.
Yeah.
So good to see you as always.